change it up this time.
I'm trying to think of what other
Kia ora.
language? Kia ora. I can't even say that.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Konnichiwa.
Yeah. Bonjour.
Here we go. Welcome to WTF Stories and Advice. I'm Louisa Delden.
And I'm Caroline Cranshaw. And we're going to tell you some stories and maybe give you some advice. I'm not sure.
And maybe talk a bit of shit.
What we are very good at.
Very good at.
So how's your week been, Louisa?
Let's just say this week hasn't been my finest. There's a lot going on with my job at the moment. So, yeah, a lot of change going on is what you could say.
Yeah.
But I've got a big weekend planned. So I'm going to a gig on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. The act does not come on till 1 a.m.
Holy crap.
So let's just say it's going to be a huge one.
Who's the main act you're saying?
Like drum and bass DJ Camo and Crooked.
Oh.
You're like, who are they?
No idea what you're even talking about. You're basically talking about another language. I know drum and bass. I've heard of that before.
Yeah. Front left. Frothing.
Frothing? What does frothing mean?
I don't know, like
frothing at the mouth?
No,
Do you have
no,
babies?
I'll not be frothing at the mouth. It's more like, I don't know, I just always say froth. It's like, you know, getting loose and partying. One time actually at Rhythm and Vines, which is like for those who don't know, it's a big festival, a music festival over New Year's in Gisborne in New Zealand. My friends lost me for 4 hours and then they found me in the crowd by myself and I had froth tattooed across my forehead. So I must have not actually did it, but I must have gone to the, you know, they have like tattoo parlors and like food stalls and stuff, got froth and be like, run off into the crowd.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, good times. And also just on that note, my mum told me to stop talking about alcohol so much. So there you go, Jill, I was sober when I did that.
Yeah, well, it's a big part of the culture in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Huge part.
Yeah.
It's not how we're drinking. No, it's not what we're drinking. It's how we're drinking.
When I first came over here, and Americans can drink, right? I'm from San Francisco. We can definitely party and drink. We're more like into our weed and stuff. Mm-hmm. But, oh my God, the first dinner party I went to, I felt like everyone was speaking, number one, another language. I had no fucking idea what you guys were even saying. Or not you, but you weren't there. You probably weren't even born yet, actually. Yeah, this was in 98. So how old were you in 98?
I would have been 6. Yeah.
Oh my God. I could have like tucked you into bed, Louisa. Yeah. And so I had no idea what they're saying. And by the end of the night, I literally was like almost falling under the table because I was so drunk because I just couldn't even keep up with people. Kiwis can drink.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
They can drink.
Holy crap. Yeah. I thought Americans can drink, but we got nothing on you guys.
Nothing on the Kiwis. What are you doing this weekend? Have you got your hypnotherapy school?
I do. Yeah. This weekend, we are teaching core counseling and coaching techniques because like with hypnotherapy, you can't just have someone walk in your office and go, sleep, and just hypnotize them, right? When I do a session with someone, I talk to them for like an hour to figure out what their problems are. And you have to do counseling. You have to do coaching. So,
and you have to warm to the person. And
yeah, you have to build what they call rapport to connect with them. Like when someone first comes to me, all I'm thinking about is making that person my best friend within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not in an inauthentic way, but
you've got to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah,
like they can tell you things.
And that they can trust me and that I'm generally want to help them. And it's interesting. I've been writing all the content for this course, right? Because it's my school. And I mean, I guess you could always teach other people stuff, but I think it's always better to write it yourself. So one of the kind of techniques or interesting questions that I find really cool is a question that I basically learned from Tony Robbins.
I love him.
Oh, I know. He's amazing. I actually used to be like, oh, Jesus, he's just so rah-rah. And he's like so cliche American. But then I watched his, and I've studied a lot of his stuff and I think it's really cool, but I watched his I'm Not Your Guru. Have you seen that movie?
No, I've
Netflix?
seen a few of his TED Talks.
His I'm Not Your Guru, I really recommend it on Netflix. It's amazing. I mean, basically, in a way, it's like a big sales pitch for his Date with Destiny seminar.
Is it a series? on Netflix?
No, it's just a documentary, like
okay.
a 2-hour documentary. But when I watched that, because I'd never actually gone and done any of his seminars, I totally was converted and thought he was amazing. He swears like a truck driver, which of course for me, I'm like, I totally relate to that. That's amazing. But to me, that's quite authentic, you know, for him. That, I mean, obviously he does swear a lot. But a question that he asks, that I ask a lot of clients, and I think it's a really powerful question, is whose love did you crave the most as a child growing up? Was it your mother? Was it your father? If you weren't raised by your parents, was it another caregiver? Like for you, whose love did you crave the most?
Definitely my dad's. Like my mum, I just knew that she adored me and loved me and, you know, was obsessed with me. But Dad's Italian and adore my dad, love him to death. But it's a different kind of relationship and rapport that you have with your father, I think. And I feel like a lot of girls would feel that. Like
for me, I crave my dad's love more than my mum. I knew my mum loved me. I knew my dad loved me as well, but I craved his acceptance more, I think.
Same. Yeah.
The next question after that is, who did you have to be to get their love? Or how did you have to behave to be accepted by them?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because my dad and I, the years that we're both Scorpios as well, butted heads more would be from that age when I was like 14 to 18. And that's when, you know, I've just started drinking and, you know, trying to be cool and partying and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, I know what you mean. I think obviously now, absolutely fine, have a great relationship. But back then, it definitely would have been things like being sporty and being funny and smart and like having other things other than partying and drinking and that side of life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for me, same. I had to be smart and I had to be funny. And I think the other thing I had to be was ballsy. Really stand up to people and make smart ass comments. And and I think that it becomes a mask that you wear or characteristics that you feel like you have to have. And so it can be sometimes for some of us over the top. I think in a way it makes you who you are and it can be a really good thing. But at the same time, it's realizing that you don't always have to be that way. Like for me, I know that if I didn't feel like I was being entertaining or if I didn't feel like I was the smartest person in the room, which let's face it, you're not always going to be. There's always going to be someone smarter and funnier or better looking or whatever. Yeah. That didn't mean I was less than, or I think I would just get really stressed. And so I'd try to prove myself all the time. So,
and I think it would be one of those things if our dads knew that we thought that they'd be like, what the hell? Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to be this person.
No, and I don't think parents are ever consciously doing it.
No, God, no.
But it's just the way it is. And so it's really interesting of a way of figuring out what's driving you. And then if you feel like you can't be those things all the time, what are you doing to compensate for that? Are you drinking too much? Are you partying too much? Are you behaving inappropriately? Are you being too full on? Or are you insecure because you feel like you'll never live up to it? Yeah, it's really fascinating.
I find drinking is, especially in my age group and wider friends and things, is something that so many people do as like an escape from, I don't know, whatever they're going through. Like I have so many people who it's almost like Sunday to Thursday is just like this drain and this dread and they just live for Friday, Saturday. And it's like this vicious cycle of, you know, like they have this party weekend and then they're like depressed Monday to Thursday and then they just do the same old thing. And it's like you need to find other things in life that are going to fulfill you and, you know, hobbies or going for walks, exercising, like doing other things rather than living for this drinking culture and often being someone that you're not when you're drinking. Like it can bring out a terrible side in you.
Yeah, exactly. I think we talked about this before, but going to see, when I went to see Wayne Dyer, and you love Wayne Dyer too, don't you? And he talked about that. He used the metaphor of an orange. And he said, whatever's inside of you is what comes out when you get squeezed. So like an orange, you squeeze it, orange juice comes out. What happens to you when you're squeezed? And I think that like people, when they get drunk or they're on drugs, a lot of times they get angry. Or they're violent, or they're arrogant, or they'll like their behavior becomes very exaggerated. But I think it's like that's inside of you, and that's what's coming out. It's always interesting.
I know,
in
and
that aspect,
so much anger comes out in people from drinking, and then often people will have these angry spells, like abuse someone, and then they wake up in the morning, blackout, they don't remember it, and so then they just pretend it didn't happen, and then they do the exact same thing the next weekend. It's like, when do you learn and when do you realize that you cannot live your life like that? Like, it's all going to catch up with you one day.
Exactly. The other thing with alcohol that's interesting, and same with drugs, is we have what they call the reptilian brain. Have we talked about the reptilian brain before? Yeah. So the reptilian brain is like your brain stem. It's the most primitive part of your brain. They call it the reptilian brain because that's like all reptiles have. And we have these more evolved parts of our brain. But when you drink or you do certain drugs, the reptilian brain becomes very activated and it's basically in charge. And that part of your brain doesn't care about consequences. It doesn't think about the future or the past. It's just in the now, and it's drugs, sex, and rock and roll. It's like people do.
God, I know that feeling.
Yeah,
I've done some stupid shit.
You don't even think about, like, I've done shit that I just would never do sober. And it's the reptilian brain's in charge. So
like you saying that literally for me resonates back to this one night.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the name of the party and people listening are going to know this night if they're my friends. My friends had this party called the Bush Stuff, and it was basically outside in this garden. And like, I was not myself. Like, I was so drunk. Like, I don't remember anything, and I woke up and I had literally ruined my life in that single night. Like, I had fucked my whole life in that one single night. And you are so right, meaning that you are literally living in this now moment. Like, not that I even remember, but except it's like all you think about is right now. You don't think of the past, the future, the consequences. You're just like, right, this is happening right now. This is fun, rock and roll party.
I know, I'm like, I want to know what you did, but you don't have to say.
I'll talk about it in a couple months' time. It's still.
Do we need to do some sessions on this?
It's still fresh. Oh, the bush stuff. Terrible night. Oh, R.I.P. the bush stuff. But yeah, that feeling. So many people would go through it.
Oh, you do. You wake up in the morning and you might have a vague recollection or none at all. And you're just like, oh, no, what have I done?
Oh.
And just blame the reptile.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But you don't want the reptile ruling your life or making decisions for you. And I think good metaphor for when you have an addiction, like I'll use this a lot with people that smoke, is every time you want to smoke from now on, imagine a reptile telling you to smoke, because that's the part of your brain that's kind of driving that. Like with nicotine, if it's in your system all the time, your brain starts to think that it needs nicotine to survive. That is just that reptilian brain. So it makes you uncomfortable so that you'll have it again. It's imagine a reptile telling you to do whatever the addictive behavior is. Drink or smoke or do drugs or sex or whatever. And you tell that part of you, or imagine this reptile, and you go, I never do that now. Because it understands never and it understands now. Yeah, but it's, I love all that psychology, obviously. But yeah, it's fascinating. Don't listen to your reptile, kids, because... No. He's a badass motherfucker that doesn't give a shit.
I had a friend who kept doing real stupid shit when she was drunk, and now it's been a whole year since she hasn't had even a sip of alcohol, and she said it just like changed her life. And your age probably is more common for people to go, okay, shit, I'm not who I want to be when I'm drinking. But at my age, at 24, 25, to be completely off alcohol and going to parties still, and so I think that's pretty impressive.
It is good for her.
Yeah.
Because for some people, it just...
Not good, just terrible drunks.
I'm not a nasty drunk. I can be if I see someone else getting picked on, and then I'll just lose my shit, and I will be your worst nightmare because I
can imagine.
That's my thing. But I'm a happy drunk and nice to everybody, and oh my God, I'm your best friend. Yeah, but it's interesting when people aren't, and some people they just did not touch it. It's the devil for them. So yeah, interesting.
So I want to hear your thoughts on this scenario that's happened to one of my friends.
Oh, I'm happy to give it.
Of course you are. You love putting your 2 cents in.
Oh, yeah.
So one of my friends has been dating a guy for about 2 months now. Mm-hmm. So I'd say they've just gone official, like just boyfriend, girlfriend, you know. Mm-hmm. And it was her birthday, and he brought her a cool pair of like sneakers, like Adidas kind of Stan Smith casual shoes. But... he also brought her a big photo frame with photos of them in it. So about 8 photos of them in this giant photo frame. 2 months. 2 months of dating. Okay. My head is saying too much too soon. Like that is stage 5 clinger behavior. And I know I always say that phrase, but like that for me is whoa, tone it, because there is no way that you should even be taking photos together after 2 months, let alone printing them on a canvas, and let alone like you don't fucking Instagram story until 3 months.
Is that the rule now?
That is my rule. That is LDD's number 1 rule. You wouldn't Instagram story until 3 months. And you wouldn't put a photo of them on your actual Instagram that the whole world can see until like 6 to 8.
Oh, 6 to 8?
Yeah. I think with my last couple years ago, serious boyfriend that we'd been together a year, I think I grammed him once.
You grammed him. Does that mean like put a picture of you on Instagram? I can
With
translate
him.
for the people who are
sorry.
in my generation.
Yes.
Wow. I'm just not a super sentimental person anyway, so I think that would scare me if someone gave me a photo of us.
That would terrify
I
me.
mean, why didn't he just basically do a montage of their faces so they could have like photos of their future children, you know? But
He may as well literally put their faces on a happy married couple and send her a photo of that.
it's funny with my partner now, who is my fiance. We instantly hit it off and we're quite serious quite quickly. And he took me out to dinner and he jokingly said for our 1 month anniversary and brought me to this beautiful restaurant, this place called Masu.
My
Auckland,
favourite.
which is, the best like Japanese fusion food you could ever imagine. And at the end, they bring out dessert, which we didn't order. And it was like this big platter and it said happy anniversary on the platter. And I looked at it and I pissed myself laughing. I laughed so
1 month.
1 month. This happy anniversary.
The face I'm giving you is...
And he wanted to fucking die. He wanted to die. He almost like wanted to crawl.
Did he plan that?
No, he didn't. To his defense, he did not plan that. And so when you book a table at this restaurant, you do it online and they say, is this for a special event? And so he clicked anniversary because he was in his head thinking it's our 1 month anniversary. And he jokingly said, well, they didn't have a click for it's dinner time and I'm hungry. So, because people we do like to go to nice restaurants and a lot of times they're like, oh, is it a special occasion? And he's like, yeah, I'm hungry.
Oh my God. So it just said happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. I laughed my ass off. And luckily, so he was like, oh, thank God. Because he was like afraid that I'd be like, oh my God, you're a freaking psycho. What the hell? We've only been dating 1 month. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But I don't know. I think it all depends. I think
I know what you mean. If you're into it, you're into it. And you'd probably be like, oh, that's so cute. But I get put off very easily. But even if I really like the person and they did that to me, it's too much too soon. 2 months and like a canvas of photos. I remember actually
when I was house.
This even makes me fucking cringe thinking about what this was like 7 months ago that I did this as well. Yeah. I went up to like this lookout and had dinner with. I can't even do
what.
I had dinner with. We were like up at this lookout and it was like I don't know what we were eating, some type of takeaways, and I storied it and tagged him in it, and it was like the first time I'd done it, and I don't know why I even thought it was a good idea to do. Yeah. And then so many people slid into the DMs and were like, oh my God, first story, blah blah blah. And I just looking back now, I'm like, that was so cringe from me. Why did I do that?
I'm just not a hugely sentimental person. I remember someone being at some dinner party, and I was with another guy who I was in a relationship at the time. A few years ago now. And this woman was asking me about something I had. Maybe it was like a wallet or a purse. And she was like, oh, is it sentimental or something like that? And my partner at the time goes, Caroline doesn't have a sentimental bone in her fucking body. So no, it isn't. I was like, what do you mean? I'm sentimental. He's like, nah, you are the most unsentimental woman I've ever met. You're basically a man in a woman's body. And I was like, thank you. Actually, I find that a compliment. Yeah. So I don't know. But then, I certainly can fall in love hard and fast. And but I don't really, photo montage. I don't know. I think it's like if two people are into it, that's great. If two people are avoidant or not that into each other, I think your generation is different though. I think you guys are way more weary and
and like the rules are different,
and there's so much choice. You have like 5 million people on freaking Bumble and Tinder and this and that, and so you don't commit to anything. It's like think about like with TV now, with Netflix and all the different freaking channels and instant thing we have. I never can find anything to watch.
No,
right?
That's what it's like with dating.
And I always used to find something to watch, and now there's like 5 million shows, and I'm like, nah, I can't find anything. And it's
too much out there,
too much choice. So I think it's the same with dating now.
Too much choice.
You're screwed.
Too much out there.
Oh, well. Yeah. Well, we need to stop having so many babies in the world, so hopefully that'll have an effect. Otherwise, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. when I was trying to think of interesting stories to tell, I thought of another one that happened. So I had this couple book in with me. This was years ago, like 10 years ago. They come in together, and at the time I didn't have training. I had slight training in couples counseling, but not enough to actually like work with couples. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not a couples counselor. And he's like, I know that, what I want you to do is hypnotize my wife to stop thinking I'm cheating on her. And I'm like, oh,
well, he's
okay.
clearly having an affair then.
Hello.
And flashing lights. Come on.
And she's just sitting there, and she's a beautiful woman. And I just looked at him and thought, instantly I thought, oh, so you're having an affair. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to stay objective. Well, what's been happening? And she explained that she had, I won't say what it is, a major medical event. Let's just say that. And she even had like a near-death experience with it. And afterwards, she became completely convinced that he was cheating on her. And he was like, you're crazy, you're paranoid. I'm absolutely not. She thought it was a woman he worked with. She goes to a psychic. And then the psychic, without even asking, says, by the way, I think your husband is cheating on you and cheating on you with someone you work with. And she's like, oh my God. Right. So she's kind of questioning him, and he's like, absolutely not. And he's very kind of indignant explaining this and going, I'm not cheating on her. And she's like, well, then I went to another psychic, and she said to me, first thing, your husband is cheating on you.
Oh, well, there you go.
I know. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, so I'm not cheating on her. So you just need to hypnotize her so she doesn't believe that I'm cheating on her. And I'm like, okay, well, I can definitely do that. And I'm thinking, honey, this guy was like a dog with 9 dicks. Like, he was
Why would she let him, why would she say, yes, let's go get me hypnotized so that you're not, to convince me you're not having an affair?
Well, he was the one who found me. He was like, I heard you're very good and blah, 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 blah. And
she's clearly an idiot if she's just sitting there like, yes, I want to get hypnotized so he's not having an affair.
Yeah, and so I go, okay, yep, absolutely can do that. I can just see it's a bit of a misunderstanding, and you can't trust everything psychics say and blah, blah, blah. So you just need to go. And he's like, oh, no, I want to sit here while you do it. And I said, oh, well, it won't work if you sit here. And he's like, well, I'm going to sit right outside the door, because I had some chairs like outside my office. At that point, my office was in a law firm. And so it's quite busy. And I was like, oh, well, if someone thinks that you could be listening to the session, it actually doesn't work as well. And they don't go as deep. So if you want the best result, it's best for you just to leave the building. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. You could tell he didn't want to. He really wanted to kind of control what I said. But I was like, I just played along, get him out. And I'm like, okay, so your husband's cheating on you, right? And she's like, absolutely. I know he is. He's coming home with like cum stains in his underwear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she just knew she
just needs to catch him out, get an FBI agent following him.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, what are you doing to catch him? She's like, I just can't catch him. And I'm like, oh, well, what about his cell phone account? Like, is he with Vodafone, which is like our major kind of carrier in New Zealand? And she's like, yeah, he is. And I said, oh, just log into his account. You can see every phone call and every text because it logs it.
What?
Yeah. Did you not know this?
No, I'd hate to think half the messages I've sent.
It doesn't
nothing to do with affairs.
Yeah, it doesn't log the messages, but it logs the numbers.
Oh.
So if someone's having an affair,
you've come up with the calls of who they're always talking to.
You'll see this number being gone over and over, and then you can just call it and see who the fucking is, right? And she
wait, let me guess. It's her best friend.
No,
okay.
No.
I always do this. So I was like, hang on.
I actually never found out who it was. Yeah, but she was like, oh my God, the last psychic I went to said that I would meet this woman in June who would tell me how to catch him. And it was June, right?
Oh,
and she had seen the psychic in like February. And she said, and the woman said, my husband would introduce me to her. She was like, I never thought it would be you. Yeah.
So funny.
I just basically coached her
how to catch
him. And she was convinced it was this woman he was working with and described her to me. And she's younger and this and that. But the thing is that it turns out that they had met and had an affair, that he had been married when he met her. and they had an affair. So of course, you know, I was like,
Oh, wait.
hey.
So she was the other woman.
She was the other woman.
Oh, well, come on. Come on.
I know.
Flashing lights. Like, if he's done, what's that phrase? A cheater never changes its spots.
Oh, or the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, right? It's like,
clearly he's addicted to affairs. He's had one with you.
yeah, I know. So anyway,
My voice always goes so high.
you're like, "Ew." Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, I didn't even hypnotize her. I just coached her on, like, you're going to be okay.
That could
and
be
then once
another
you find
job
out,
for you. You could be a coacher of how to catch people
I
having
would
affairs.
be so good if as a private investigator, I could
What was
catch
that
anyone.
TV series? And they'd like rock up to the date where the people were having an affair, and they'd be like, and they'd have these
Cheaters,
yeah,
wasn't it?
cheaters, and they'd be like, I seen your ass down here with her. Oh my God, you should be the host of that show.
I would be good. Well, I could the thing is, I do kinesiology, muscle testing. So I just will instantly go, are you cheating? I should have done that with him. But I knew if I did that, then he would just get irate and she wouldn't be any closer. I had to get her on her own and figure it out. But so anyway, so she leaves. I never heard back from her. But about a year later, I'm at a play with a date, and I go and I get us some drinks, right? So I get a couple of glasses of champagne, and I suddenly feel this like burning into the back of my head. And
It's him.
It's him, and he's with this woman, not his wife.
The one that she described.
Exactly. Like to the T. And he's looking at me with the nastiest look you have ever seen in your entire life. And I was like, cheers. And
So
I
he's-
held up my drink.
He's on to his third affair.
Yeah, obviously had gone off. Hopefully she kicked him to the curb, and so he just went off with this other woman. But yeah, I just walk off with my champagne and like tossed my hair and was like, bet you regret
Shame,
making an
fucker.
appointment with me, motherfucker. Yeah. Yeah, and he paid for it too. So he basically paid me to like get him caught cheating. So yeah, fucking funny, but. It's amazing.
gold.
The balls on that guy. Like the balls to be like, I'm going to take you to
A hypnotherapist.
is to hypnotize you to stop thinking I'm having an affair when he clearly was having an affair. It's just, yeah.
And like he's done it before, so he's clearly doing it again.
Yeah. But yeah, amazing. Funny. I know. Am I crossing a boundary by describing these stories? But it's, yeah, I'm not using names or any identifying factors, so it's okay. And it's a good story. So I
It's
had
a
to tell
great
it.
story. I think it was last podcast I told you to read the book, The Last Mrs. Parrish.
Yeah, I've just
So
finished it.
How good is it?
Yeah, really good.
So good. I
Yeah.
could not put it down. It was amazing. And then I think I may have mentioned The Wife Between Us.
Yeah, I've just finished that as well.
Okay, so there you go. You
I like your recommendations. They're good.
clearly a quicker reader than me because I haven't finished The Wife Between Us yet.
Yeah.
But it's really annoying me because The Last Mrs. Parrish and The Wife Between Us have the same twist. And I'm like, so the Kindle obviously were like, if you like this book, you'll like this
Oh,
one.
is that how you got onto that?
Yeah.
one?
So now I'm semi a little bit annoyed because I'm like, well, fuck, they've both got the same twist. But one of them.
It's good. Yeah, actually, yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought, oh God, The Wife Between Us is like totally following the
Yeah.
Last Mrs. Parrish and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, but no, I kept with it, and the twist is unexpected, and it is different than that
Okay,
one.
good.
And you are then going, oh my God. Yeah. But there's a similarity to it, but yeah, I recommend it. Yeah,
Okay,
it was good. I finished
I'm going
it.
to stick with it. I've got about 29% on the Kindle of it left.
Yeah.
So I should nearly be at the really good hooks.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting Sharp Objects.
I know. I need to read that because I watched the program, but I haven't read it.
I love reading the book first and then watching the series or movie because I love imagining what they'd look like. And then when it actually comes out, you go, oh, that's not what I imagined. Or you're like, yes, that's perfect.
I'm almost afraid to watch or to read Sharp Objects because the twist at the end of that is so fucking dark.
Really?
Oh my God. You're just like, holy shit.
Well, that's like Big Little Lies. Have you seen that series?
Yeah.
So I haven't read the book, but I've seen the series, and oh my God, the end of that is just like, wow.
This is a million times darker.
Really?
A million. Like,
oh my God,
holy
okay,
shit.
I'm going to start it this weekend.
Amy Adams was just brilliant in that. But yeah, now I'm going to read that as well. I've been watching this new show on Netflix called Maniac. Have you heard about that?
With Emma Stone and Jonah Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's fucking good. Oh my God.
Oh, I need a new series.
Because it's all about like they get involved in this experiment where it's like a psychological experiment, and they take this drug that basically takes you back to like the most traumatic event of your life. And there's like, I think there's like 3 different pills that you take. There's like A, B, and C, which is basically like cognitive behavior therapy. They have this A, B, and C, the activating event, and then the belief that happens because of that. I can't remember what C is now. Yeah, so but it keeps going into like these different stories and these different, it's really
good. Of each of the characters.
Of each, yeah. And they go into these different like past events, but then they start going into each other's. And basically it's creating totally new stuff, and almost like they're going into each other's dreams.
So like stuff. Creating new memories.
Yeah, which is and they're not supposed to do that. And then this, yeah, it's good. And Sally Fields, I love Sally Fields, and she's in it, and she's like this famous therapist, and she's like the mother of the main guy who is like the head therapist of the study. And
is it on Netflix now?
Yeah,
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah,
I'm writing it down right now.
Maniac.
I love them. Isn't it funny how they started on Superbad together?
Exactly. Isn't that funny?
My fave quote. Well, the funny thing is, Jules, is that my cock is actually located on my back. So good.
Because you can scratch mine.
Yeah. You scratch mine, I'll scratch yours. And when he gets the fake ID, and he's like, McLovin, what the fuck? One name? Who are you, Seal?
Oh, no. Yeah. And Jonah Hill is so thin in this.
Bless. Do you know he is the cutest? I love how he yo-yo diets.
I know.
Like, bless his soul. Like, 1 minute he'll be chubby, and then he'll be really trim, and then he'll be a bit chubby again.
Have you seen War Dogs?
I love that movie.
Oh my God. And isn't it based on a true story?
And I love the actor Miles Teller. He is so cool. I love him in that. And have you seen him in, oh God, I can't remember the drumming movie with him in it? Oh, I'm going to have to Google it because everyone needs to watch it. So he's a drummer, and he just wants to be the best drummer, and he has this crazy teacher. It's just so good. It is called Whiplash.
Oh, I
watch that. It's so epic. He's like wants to be the best drummer he can possibly be, and he's got this fucking mental teacher who like borderline mentally abuses him to be the best he can be. It's so good.
Oh, I watched that makes me think of another movie that I just watched. It's a Kiwi film called The Changeover. You heard of that?
No.
It's, really good. I really liked it. And it's like kind of supernatural, and there's like witches and crazy. Like this girl has to look after her brother all the time. She's got a single mom, and so she's a teenage girl, and she's looking after her 6-year-old brother. They kind of wander into this, it's like kind of like a port or something where there's all these container bags. And this guy's there, and he puts this stamp on the boy's hand. And the stamp won't go away, and the boy starts doing all this weird shit, and then she's got to find like people to help her. And there's this other boy in it who, oh my God, if I was a teenage girl, I would just like wet my pants. I'd get so excited. I can't remember what his name is. He's an English actor, and he was in this great film called The Beat Beneath My Feet with, what's that guy from 90210 that was Luke from 90210. Oh, you never, that's way beyond. You probably weren't even born then. But really good. Changeover. Okay. But then another really good one is The Beat Beneath My Feet.
Okay, so we've got Changeover, Beat Beneath My Feet,
Maniac,
Whiplash,
yes.
And books, The Last Mrs. Parrish, and The Wife Between Us.
Yeah.
And good. Sharp Objects. Go well.
We have something for you to do besides listen to this podcast now.
Thank you for listening to WTF Stories and Advice. We'll be back next week.
We will.
Give us a follow on the old Insta. Slide into the DMs at Louisa, LUISADD, and at Caroline Cranshaw. Easier to spell.
And give us a review as well, because that helps other people find our podcast. And send us some stories.
Yes, we need more stories from you.
We need more stories. And you guys, we've gotten some really good ones, or just stories that you want us to talk about or topics you want us to talk about. We're happy to do that. Thanks for listening.
Sayonara.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.
Adios.